All right, crew. So welcome to another episode of Henderson Equipment. I'm going to show you guys how I did some troubleshooting on a 6.0 liter Powerstroke. The 6.0 liter is made by International, and it was used by Ford for their Super Duty fleets from 2003 to 2007. So in this video, we're going to work on a 2005 model, and in this one, you will see how I had a no start condition when hot. All right, I did some repair work to this engine, and I was getting a no start when cold. All right, so this is actually a two-part video, and it's actually a really beneficial video because you guys get to see me literally tear down the top end of this engine and almost the complete top end minus the heads, and do some serious troubleshooting. Plus you get to see and hear all the cursing and fun time I had. Let's get to it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at, which is the easiest thing, is the Ipr sensor. And that sensor just makes sure you have sufficient oil going to your whole rail system, you know, and it arguably controls your regulator too. So this is an 05, and the 05 to 07 they put it up here. So I am just going to disconnect this connector. Gotta be careful because they're a little sensitive. We'll take that connector out. All right, and we'll leave the connector up here. Now this connector, a lot of times when the Ipr sensor goes bad, they leak. And so you'll see this thing full of oil and stuff. And I'm just gonna let this sit over here. The other thing is this is an added piece here. So I'm just gonna take this off in the event that it falls. Because you're not going to get the right connection if it doesn't, if it's not on there. And looking at this thing, you can see that there's no oil on there. And looking in here, if you can really see that, but in here, there's no oil coming out. So I'm pretty sure this Ipr sensor is good, but we can check the voltage on it just to be sure. However, for right now, I am going to, because again, like I said, this Ipr sensor is only 30,000 miles old. I really don't think that's the problem. So I'm going to take a chance here. I'm going to undo this, and we're going to put a fitting in here, and I'm going to pressure, put air pressure to the whole oil system. And when you test this side, when you inject oil this side, it will bleed down. Like, it's not gonna be perfect still because it'll bleed out of the oil pump out back. But you'll be able to hear. There'll be enough air pressure you could hear if it's leaking through, whether it's the standpipes or the dummy plugs. And usually the dummy plugs do leak on these things. Just got to replace the O-rings. I think Ford came with like some type of aftermarket shim thing or something, but you know, they don't give you a lot of room with the 6 liters. Or the 7.3 for that fact. And like, this testing is going to be the same for the 7.3 as well. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Don't want to lose her. Don't want to lose her. Alright. So, take this off and we'll see. This is your Ipr sensor. And like I said, this is relatively new, but you see there's no oil in there or anything like that. So Dollar Store Donuts, this is working. They usually fail once oil starts coming out and shorts the connection, so I'm pretty sure this is good. But we're going to put this aside for and do it with my hand. Clip on. This is my fancy rig, so I just literally clip onto my oil fitting, and then this is literally just
a quick connect fitting, and I'll use this to pressurize it, and when I'm done, I just push this in to bleed it out. This is an add-on for me because when I didn't do it, I usually just disconnect it, but sometimes depending on, like, if you don't have all the oil out, it will come back at you. Alright, so we're just gonna quick connect this on. And we're on. Alright. Get one more turn. Okay. So I'm just going to turn my compressor on real quick. It might be at air pressure. And my hose is long, but it's never long enough. That's what she said. Alright, so we're connected. So I got my air in here, and I'm just going to open this air valve, and I'm pressurizing the system. And ideally, you should hear air leaking out. I'm going to open that oil cap. You should hear air leaking out of this thing. At the moment, I don't hear anything. So air's on. Oop. So you can hear a little bit. Air squirting out. So I hear air coming from my So I'm just going to let that pump up. So we got 120 psi. Air on. You can hear it. And I can hear it. And as I put my hand here, the pitch changes. So you hear that? So I got a leak definitely on this side. All right, so I got a little bit of work ahead of me. It's really not the worst job in the world, but it is a decent job because you just got to take a lot of bullshit off. So anyway, I'm going to start getting myself set up. We're going to take the left side off first. Although I don't hear anything on the right side, it's like too hard to tell. But I'm a big believer in being uniform. So if I'm going to do the left side, I'm going to do the right side as well. Alright, so we're going to take one turbo pipe down. So I got this one fitting down here. And loosen that up so we can pop that off. And then we're going to do the top one there. Now I use the long, you can use a real long extension or just the two 6-inch extensions. That'll do it. Take this one off here. There we go. There we go. Okay. Okay, so that's out. Now in theory, you could probably just swing this up and be done with it, but we're just going to take it out because it's easy. Visibility to our valve cover. All right. So, next thing, well, I don't remember exactly because I haven't done it in a while, but we're off or unplug the hose. Yep. All right, we'll figure it out as we go. Hold on.
Sliding that pussy, it's a homicide. It's a homicide. But the sliding that pussy, it's a homicide.
All right, so one thing that's being a pain in my ass is I ran an aftermarket. So what I'm going to do is get a pair of dikes, valve it off here, get some dikes, clamp it off. That way I lose a little fluid, take this off and swing it over to the other side. Because it's being a pain in my ass. And I tried to do the slow-mo of one of the connectors so you guys can see. And yeah. It's rough working right now because it's so cold outside. Like it was snowing this morning, you know? So everything hurts. There we go. I'm gonna fish this over here, let it sit there. Because, you know, I gotta take this cover off here. Yeah. And then I disconnected this, so I'm gonna pull all these cables out.
But the sliding up pussy is a homicide. It's a homicide. But the sliding up pussy is a homicide.
Okay, so I took the one bracket off, holding the one control module, and so now I'm taking the true valve cover bolts off now. So these are them. Another fun fact while we're here is a lot of people, you hear of like studding your head gaskets or bulletproofing your Powerstroke. Well, the thing here is that's actually one of the head studs right there, and you can tell these are ARP head studs because the Allen key there in between, and plus the 12 point. Now the from 2005 2007 they did upgrade the head bolt size. I forget what they upgraded to. They went up one size. I don't know if it was like an M10 to an M12 or whatever it was, but yeah, these are the ARP head studs. Now, all the way back here, these are what I call the motherfuckers. Because you gotta reach all the way the fuck back here. And I'm doing this all with a 1/4-inch ratchet. Because they're the easiest to get in here. Now, it's valve cover bolts, so these aren't tight. If they're super tight, then some asshole took these off already. Now, this is my truck. I do everything myself, so I know what I'm getting myself into. And if I gotta curse somebody out, well, I'm just cursing myself out. We got this. And we got about. All right, so I'm down to the final two bolts, and they're really tight, really hard to get to. They're down in a bad spot. So anyway, you're gonna need a long wrench for this. This is a Mountain MTN RM1214 because it's a 12 on one side, 14 on another. This is a great wrench for this application for these two. We gonna get under here. See, but it's the only way I can. It's really tough. Anyway, these mountains are good for stuff just like this. I think Easy Red makes them too. I don't know who, or Carlisle makes them too, or something like that. So there's multiple people that make them. Alright, so we got all the bolts out of her. So now we're going to be able to take this valve cover right off. There we go. And you're always going to have your typical bullshit that you deal with. There we go. And she's off. So now we can look at what we're looking at here. So remember, this is where our Ipr sensor went, and I'm going to plug my sensor back in right here, and we're going to pressurize it, and we're going to try to listen to where we're leaking from. Yeah, we're going to listen to where we're leaking from. See if we can hear it. Hopefully it's not coming from an injector, because that would suck. Because, well, I don't know. Injectors only got 150,000 on them, so I'd prefer not to change them. But I'm hoping it's leaking from one of our dummy pipes here. So I'm pretty sure it's coming from here, but we'll see. You never know. Alright, so I'm putting my fitting in. Again, I'm only going hand tight, so we don't gotta go crazy. Put my quick connect. Okay. Okay. Let's put some air pressure in there. So now you can hear it. Not too sure. Almost sounds like it's coming back here. Really aren't available anymore, and they make these modified ones. You see these have these like little spacers here, and I think these spacers are to allow more compression on the O-ring, but you can see it's different. And even here you can see this is different, and the size is different too. So I'm assuming these are a far better option than what was originally installed at the time. But yes, now I gotta go fishing for the other side. Well, I'm gonna take this whole oil rail off next. You gotta zip all these out, and after I zip all these out, then I will start videoing again, I guess. Hang tight. I don't know where the hell I put my GoPro, but I sure do miss it, I'll tell you that much. Okay. So I took the oil rail off, which you have to be very careful with, because your oil rail goes into each of your injectors here. And remember, this is a Huey, so it pumps oil into the injector in order to fire it. So anyway, since we've gone this far, you always want to take a look at some things, make sure you don't got shit everywhere, so you don't see major rust. And she's looking fine. And me personally, I would get a paper towel and suck the oil out of this thing, out of these, because at each of these injector points, you want to look at the O-ring quality. Now I got new O-rings anyway, but you want to check your O-ring quality, because if they look torn up at all, fucking change them, because you don't want to do this twice. And you need a good, perfect, tight seal. So anyway, the main reason we're here is to look at our standpipe. And now you gotta take this off anyway, the O-rail off anyway, because you got your AC box here. But if you can see, standpipe right there, she's just fucking hanging there. She's nice and tight, which is good. She's come. Here we go, you motherfucker. Comprehend it. Okay, so I sent you for a ride. So check out this new piece, right? So I was just looking, I was like, man, this thing looks like it's two pieces. And sure enough it is. And so this this O-ring, fucking one hand, this O-ring slips in here, which makes sense. But ain't that interesting? That is so interesting. And see the spring inside? See that return spring? So that spring probably allows oil to come up but not back down, which is cool because this one doesn't have that. Really hard with one hand. Anyway, so what I did is I took the standpipe apart in two pieces, and I fed the bottom part in there. I fed it in there, you got to tap it and it drops right in. All right, and then I put my oil rail back on, and like I said, the oil rail you got to make sure is nice and lined up with all of the injectors, and it's got to fit perfect. You can't half-ass it, you can't bang it around. You got to fit it on and fit it perfect on there. I mean, you got some wiggle room, and it will pop in, and you feel it because when it pops in, it clicks in because it's got those retainer rings. All right, so now I'm just tightening this up. And I believe, and I don't really know, but I believe just by going easy, it should line itself up right with that standpipe. If I feel any resistance, I'm going to stop. But right now, it's going in nice. The 12. It's a 12. A hex 12. Oh, fuck. See, I fucked this thing up. Alright, this coolant line was pissing me off because I got to get my arm in here and I'm fat, and so I'm just taking more shit off. Probably more than you need to, but I'm just showing you because I think it's easier for me. I don't know where to fucking put it. But anyway, I decided to use my clamp, hose clamp down this one. Then I'm doing a clamp on this side. I'm going to take this clamp off of here, and then I'm going to swing this over here and tuck that out of the way. Because like I said, I got to get to this valve cover, and it's pissing me off. So you can watch. I know where to put you. Alright, so now we're gonna get some fluid and stuff come out. Don't panic. There we go. Yep. There we go. Yep. Alright, so now that that's like that, yeah, so I just tuck this thing now like up in here. You see how you're like sending fucking fluid everywhere. There we go. And then let's let's take this thing and let's tuck it back here. Look, now we got this area to work with. All right, these wire looms here. All right, so we gotta take, oh, we gotta take all this bullshit off. Yeah, I'm gonna end up taking this intake out too. I'm gonna take, because I gotta get to this wiring and stuff. All right. Yeah, I'll be able to yoink that out. So you're just gonna pull this off and then pull this thing off. Okay. Let's put this on the back of the truck. Yeah, also, you know, it's actually a warm day today. I think it's like it's December 12th. No, 13th. December 13th. And it's like, I don't know, high 30s. Ain't too bad. Alright. Oh, look at this. Looks like we had an O-ring that failed. What was this off of? What was this O-ring off of? Hey. So I got my fitting there. See that? So I'm going to hook air up to it, and we're going to hear for leaks, because I want to pressure test the shit I did on the left side better, and then I'll see if the right side's leaking. So I'm hoping we got no leaks, but you know, we'll see. What the fuck? Alright, so we got air leaking from the fitting. Okay, so that's that. Man, she sounds pretty tight to me. I'm gonna check this side. Yeah, she sounds real tight to me. Just make sure we got full air pressure here. Yeah. So, and it is like tough working in the fucking rain sometimes. All right, so if you guys can see that, so I got air in that back fitting there. And what I did is I pressure tested the system. So I got the oil cap off on this side, and I pressure test the oil rail. And so I got my oil cap off. And you should be able to hear air coming from there. I can't hear anything. I mean, it's dead silent. So that's cool. That's badass. So it actually tells me that my right side standpipe and dummy plugs are good. You know, my dummy plug and my standpipe. But I already bought the kit to change it out. So we're going to change them out anyway. Fuck it. All right. It's a T30. And let's take this puppy off. Get I think that's all of them, so I should be able to pick this thing up. When you pick up these oil rails, just pick them up and like cock them to the side, because they got fucking oil in them. All right. just like so. And I'm just going to cock it slightly. That way any oil drains back. You can kind of see oil draining back into it. Ooh. Oh, girl. Alright. Just gonna put it there for now, because all I want to do is take this fucking dip tube out. I can't believe I couldn't get it out. I really thought I'd be able to finagle her, but I can't. Dick. Got her. Got the bitch. Okay. Alright, now I do want to set this right back on the injector. Alright. O-ring and the spacer is lubed. Well, let's just see if we can drop it right in. Yeah, we can. So that's the way we gotta go. Alright, that's cool. So I'm going to bolt the oil rail back down. And you're going to want to do the middle first. Because otherwise you're going to get uneven distribution. Okay. Alright, give me a minute. Okay, so now I torqued all these down. So now what I'm going to do is, ooh, I forgot I got to get a special socket, but I'm going to take out the dummy plug. The other dummy plug. I'm going to take a look at it. Oh, man, that's tight. I'll take a look at this one too. Between these two. So, anyway, I'm going to lube these up right here. O-rings are all lubed. We're going to throw that dummy plug right in there. M12 head here. I'm going to torque these down. These aren't supposed to be tight. You just go until you bottom out. And we're bottomed. So that's all we're gonna go. And do the same thing with the standpipe in the rear. And then what I'm gonna do is I bought a new IPR valve. I'm gonna rebuild the old one. I'm waiting for parts to come in, but it was quicker to get a new one than it was to get the screen and everything. So I got a new one. Only cost me 170 some bucks. So I'm gonna throw that in, and yeah, I'll let you watch me throw the IPR valve in, though it might be boring. But I'm going to put this in, and then we're gonna pressure. We'll see if we got any leaks. Compressor kick off. I don't hear anything initially, which is good, but you always want to double check the work that you do because everybody's susceptible to failures. And it is dead quiet, and that is a beautiful sound. So that makes me happy. So that tells me that the O-rings on the injectors are good, the dummy plugs, there's no leaks. We should be golden. Thank God. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is purge the air out of this system. You got to do it slow through the IPR valve. Put this bitch back together, and then we're on our way. Alright, so I put the IPR valve in. See See how I got the tab sticking up, which is going to be easier when I have to remove it in the future. So that's nice. And now I'm buttoning up these here. So I'm just going to zip this on, and then I'll probably put the FICM on, plug the harness in, all that stuff. Alright, so we're getting there. I got the FICM on there, all that dumb stuff, everything's buttoned up. I think we're looking pretty good. So the one thing I noticed is I was ingesting a little bit of oil for my crankcase. So I put a plug in here. And what I'm going to do is run a hose straight to, just straight to Mother Earth, and let her blow in the wind. So I'm going to do that to remediate some of the oil ingestion. And I know they do that for pollution issues, but I'm not trying to harm my engine, if you will. I was talking to Spanky about it, and he brought up a good point that you could have a runaway option if you blow a head gasket or something. You got all this oil ingestion going on. So yeah, just rehooking up these clamps for the coolant line. There we go. Looks good. Okay. And come on, Brad. Just clip on there. Okay. Let's put this clamp on here. Why is it at such a fucking dumb angle? Good look. Put this hose here and this hose here. Gotta get all the plugs in. That's in. That's in. Alright, so I know this is for the air cleaner, and this must be for the mass airflow sensor. Okay, let's put some piping back in. Hold on. Anyway, so we got 20 amps to it. I think I have everything buttoned up on this thing. I'm pretty sure I do. Pretty sure. So I am going to see if she wants to fire up. Now, I know I need to rebuild my oil pressure through the whole oil system, so I think it's going to crank a lot longer than it normally does, but that's okay. So let's try cranking her and see if she does anything. Put you here. Alright, we're going to let her charge up. I haven't built oil pressure yet. So like I said, we're going to let her charge up. And then try to give her a go again. Alright, so we're back at it. And she's idling on her own. And you can see we're at 580 PSI. And that's just normal idle now. Now that she went down a little bit. See the coolant temp's up at 160. She's going to climb up to 180 when it's fully warm up, but that's good enough for now. She sounds really good when you fucking romp on her. She sounds really good, and you can see how the control pressure cranks up. So what I'm going to do now is a final test. is I'm gonna shut it off just like so, and I'm gonna let her cool down. Not all the way, just gonna let it cool down for a half hour. And what time is it? So you can see it is 5:06. All right, so it's 5:06. We'll come back in a half hour. All right, it's been about a half hour. Actually, it is 5:35, so we're within a minute. And let's plug her in here. Go to gauges, turn key on, continue. We'll let her do her thing. All right, so let's see what our base injector control pressure is and our ICP duty cycle. That's what we want to look for. And it says we're at 3.39 psi, so that's pretty low. All right, so let's see what she is. We turn her over. And you see it's taking a while. Way too long. Now she's finally building up pressure. Just taking forever. And she'll finally start. So we are losing oil pressure. So we got to do some more troubleshooting. I apologize because I'm no pro, no expert, but you got to do process of elimination. So we updated both on both sides, which I'm glad we did. So we got the new, latest and greatest upgraded models. Cool, whatever. And when we pressurized the system at the IPR valve, I mean, we didn't have any leaks at all. It was dead quiet. That's awesome. So you have a good system. So, but what's weird is I still have this oil, like I'm losing oil pressure. And the one thing I'm thinking about, and I was looking at another diagram online, is, that IPR valve is what's really controlling the pressure on the oil system. So I am wondering, so I must be leaking pre the IPR valve. And the other thing I noticed is the IPR valve is defaulted, she opens up when it's off. The coil's de-energized and it does open up. So I am thinking that I might have an issue with my oil pump. Okay, so I took out the charge pipe and disconnected my reservoir. I'm actually not going to move the reservoir. I don't see a need to. I just got these up at high points here, and so now that that's done, which is cool, I am going to I'm talking this through with you guys. Obviously I got to remove the one solenoid connection. I'm probably going to have to remove this oil connection here, and then loosen up my exhaust line. That's cold now, it's good. And then from the headers, yep, that's cold, so we're gonna disconnect those two. And then I'll unbolt it here. So you see where I have never sees, because well, I knew I was gonna have to take it apart again. So I'm gonna disconnect that, and then I'll show you once the turbo's out. So yeah, I'll disconnect this, that, and then I'll undo all the bolts. I think there's 3 or 4 bolts holding the turbo on, and then I'll wiggle it out for you guys. Okay, so I really cleaned this really good. Like, I blew it off with compressed air, and then I sprayed degreaser, wiped it down, sprayed it with compressed air, and then took grease rags, wiped it down, and then sprayed it again. So I really try not to get too much bullshit there inside this thing. So what I wanted to do is I want to look at and see what the screen looks like, because ideally you want to see no particles. But if my oil was that polluted for some reason, we'd see particles on my screen. All right, and you can see she's nice and clean. you guys can see that. But yeah, it is nice and clean, so that's good news. Okay, so hardest part of this one was this bolt in the back holding this heat shield on. What a pain in the ass. So to do that one, you need a short 8mm. You need a long 8mm, preferably the mountain ones with the flexible heads. And then a 1/4 inch deep 8mm with a 1/4 inch shorty ratchet. And you gotta get behind the downpipe. So what a pain in the ass that was. Holy crikey. Okay, so this cover's off. Take it right out, just like so. Okay. Give me the gasket. All right. So obviously I'm gonna have to buy a reseal kit for this thing. But yeah, so I have to get a reseal kit for this thing. But I think it might be good to like try and turn this thing over. Well, no, not turn it over, but I want to see what's leaking. Like, I don't know. I'd have to see. It looks like that's the updated fitting, if I had to give you an educated guess. But yeah, so we're gonna do is I'm going to run air to my oil rail on the one side, and I got the IPR valve back in. And what I did is I installed the old IPR valve, and then I hooked up 2 leads to my little power probe here. And I'm gonna energize the coil. All right, and I'm gonna put air to this thing. Now, when you first put air to it, air leaks out the back of the pump, and I was like, what? Why is it doing that? You know, and I found out that that's normal. And then, come on, and there it is. So it does that little air burp thing. And you can hear all that air coming out of the pump. Now that I got pressure, I'm gonna put my power probe here. Now I'm gonna energize this thing, and you'll hear the air stop. Look how quiet that is. That's 100 PSI going to this thing. I don't hear any leaks. Now it's leaking. Now it's leaking. So that tells me that thing's, you know, doing its job. And like, you know, I don't hear any leaks anywhere else. But so it tells me that the oil rail from this side all the way to the pump is tight as hell. You know, I don't hear anything else. And I got 100 PSI going to this thing. All right, so clean this shit off the lens. Hold on. So, easiest way I found to do that is to take these bolts out here. Is you're going to need a long T45. I do not have a long T45. I've never had the need for it. So instead I took a shorty T45, but I had to grind down the side of the socket. So, you know, it's really going to be used for this application only. But, so I took those 2 bolts out there, and then the 2 in the front there, and I think, I don't know what else would hold this pump on. Oh, there's another one I missed, of course. So we got this one. All right, and then that's got to be all of them. But once I took bolt here, bolt there. The suction supply ones are off, and then there's one right here, right in the open, which is nice. Okay. These are on fucking tight. don't know why, but I gotta look up what the torque spec is on these. But I'm thinking that I have a failed O-ring. That's what I'm thinking. I think one of the pump O-rings has failed, and I'm leaking oil out of it. Just a guess, though. Oh, and they came off pretty quick. I'll lift her right out. And look, see how the oil's pumping out of there now? Look at that. Well, oil pumping out of there. Interesting. Ew. There's a lot of oil in this thing, so we're just gonna let this thing dry out or drain or whatever. But I want to replace these O-rings because I wonder if uh-oh. I wonder if I dropped the O-ring. I don't see it in the groove there. There's no O-ring in the groove. I don't feel it here. So that is a problem. The fuck is the O-ring? Okay. I'm hoping it's in here somewhere. Oh, we'll see. Okay. Okay. Flip this damn thing upside down. So you see this O-ring here? This is what I was thinking maybe it was leaking from. And, I mean, you can see it's off center a little bit, but I don't know. It's fucking hard as a rock. Man. Oh, this thing needs to be changed. So this O-ring is, I mean, it is fucking hard. I don't know what type of material this is, but wow. Okay. Gotta change that. And, phew! Fuck! Alright. I feel like I'm getting sick here. Sneezing a shitload. Anyway. So, GoPro died, had to charge it up, and it's getting fucking cold out, so I couldn't really wait. But, went to Napa, got a re-gasket kit. I got the O-ring for the right side of the pump, the suction side. And then I got another O-ring for the delivery side of the unit. So we are sitting pretty there. Got a new gasket for the top of the high pressure oil pump. And I put a new fitting in too. So with all that baloney, I'm feeling pretty good. One thing I did notice is I think International made a goof up in their back part of their casting. Because there's like, I don't know, 20,000, there's probably 30 thousandths of a difference between the cast in the middle and the back and the rear. And sure enough, the gasket for this cover here for this high pressure oil pump is, you know, 20-30 thousandths longer than the other side, which I thought was weird. And so what I ended up doing is I had put some gaskets there, some silicone where that gap was for the backside, just because, well, it felt right. So one thing I had a hard time finding was the torque specs of the pump, and there's 3 T45 bolts. Those are supposed to be torqued to 23 foot-pounds, and then the 2 8mm for the STC fitting, that's 124 inch-pounds. And then they said these bolts here are supposed to be 8 foot-pounds. So I'm not going to go that crazy. I'm just going to torque them with my Milwaukee. Alright, so I dropped the turbo back in. Just being a real pain in the dick. But we got the turbo in. And now I'm going to button up all the fasteners. I think I got everything plugged in. After you got 3 10mm bolts to do. Man, I'm stuffed up. And then I got to do the clamps on the down pipe and the up pipe. And then we're going to start this thing and see if it fires up. You know, about had it with it. So honestly, I don't even know what else I can do. So did everything I know possible. Yeah. All right. got my keys. And let's see what she wants to do this morning. Once the glow plugs are warm, we'll push it, see if she does it. She sounds pretty good. She started up pretty quick. I'd like to see her start a little faster, but that's way better than what it was. So I'd have to time that, but I think that was like 2 seconds. Anyway, I mean, I wasn't even getting that close to that, so we might have a little bit of air still in the system, but I'm gonna call this video a wrap. She's starting good, sounds good. Let her ride.